Hi, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. We're going to be waiting another minute or two to make sure everyone in the waiting room is able to join, and we'll take it forward. Thank you so much for your patience. Okay, so thank you for your patience. So moving forward, good morning, good day, and good evening, wherever you may be joining us from. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us on this masterclass webinar on financial modeling best practices with the Advanced Financial Modeler certification. Just moving forward, I need to give you a heads up that we will be putting up a small poll, a couple of questions for you to answer that give us a little bit of background on your professional, your educational background, just for us to understand how we can service you better during and after this masterclass. Now, here's the key takeaway that we're hoping to give you on this info session or a masterclass. We want to give you highlights on the importance of a properly structured and developed financial model, the best practices on how to actually develop and come up with such a sustainable financial model, as well as how to put it into good use with all the assumptions and scenarios that you could be including with it. Very happy and excited to be joining Mr. Ian Schnoor, Executive Director of FMI, who will be taking you forward through this journey in a couple of minutes, introducing himself and all. And also with us is Ms. Devani Moraes and Ms. Remy Harajli from FMI and Morgan International, who will also be helping you with any questions that you will be posting in the chat throughout this masterclass. So all registrants to this masterclass will be receiving the PDF of this presentation afterwards, as well as the Excel and any other documents used across. These will be shared, and you will also have access to review the recording of this entire session at your own convenience. So I'm Charles from Morgan International, and I'll be very happy to take you forward with the financial modeling certification introduction before Mr. Schnoor can actually take you through the master class. So financial modeling is basically about precision data, precision analysis, driving informed and proper business decisions. So in any company, whatever your business field is, it all comes down to the fundamentals and basic. It's the three, if you want, gold standards in financial reporting. So the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow statement. Every underlying detail within these statements is what a company uses to actually drive its strategic plans, its policy writing, financial investments, and risk management. So it's about really understanding where the company is spending money, where it's making money from, and how to take it forward. So in a nutshell, financial modeling is usually a set of spreadsheets that can be connected and summarized in a very specific way. And it's mostly about telling a company's story. So you want to say where the company has been, where it is now, and where it will or should be in a few years, typically up to 5, 10, more or less, depending on how you want to put it together. So it's about really being able to understand this data and how it takes a company forward. So a lot of financial experts are very familiar. They know how, they have built, or they have currently been using financial models. And it's no secret to anyone that a lot of financial models actually face a lot of challenges. So whether it be it in the design of the model, be it in the error or inconsistencies within it, or just simply difficulty in reading it or in updating it and sustaining that financial model. So some of the problems could be very complex formulas, external links, hard coding that might not always work. And definitely Mr. Schnoor will be walking us through a lot of how to avoid common mistakes and better practices throughout the masterclass. So the Advanced Financial Modeler credential in itself, its curriculum is about really how to develop all that and avoid all the common mistakes by the Financial Modeling Institute, which is currently the only financial modeling accrediting organization in the world. They have certified financial modelers across over 120 countries and developed a curriculum that includes an introduction to financial modeling as well as 9 modules that covers all the ins and outs of a proper financial model and all its underlying assumptions and scenarios. The people behind that success and curriculum are people who have been on the vanguard of the financial landscape, if I may say, for the past 2 or 3 or more decades, past 2 or 3 decades. And principally, I would like to, it's a very big pleasure to introduce the executive director of the Financial Modeling Institute, Mr. Ian Schnoor, who will be taking you forward on this journey. Mr. Schnoor, the platform is yours.
Wow, fantastic. Charles, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm here with my colleague Devani as well. Charles, you sound like a financial modeler. That was the best introduction that we've ever had. Are you a financial modeler yourself? You really,
No, but I have actually gone through a lot of content of the
wow.
advanced financial modeler, and it did quite trigger a lot of interest in me, despite the fact that I'm not a financial person, but I really could relate a lot of the aspects of the financial model to my personal business as a commercial manager.
Well, you're right. I mean, you are right. Financial modeling is for everyone, but God, if I don't feel well, I could just leave the webinar to you and you can run the whole thing. You're
Thank you.
already we're ready to go here. But I
Cool.
am in good shape and I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. First of all, at FMI, we are very excited about our partnership with Morgan International and with you and your colleagues. And there is a poll going on right now. So if you have 30 seconds to deal with the poll, that would be fantastic.
I'm
And I am going to
I'm
jump in. We got
looking
a
at
huge
it.
number
Yes,
of
thank
people here, a lot of interest. There was a huge amount of interest in today's webinar, and I'm really excited to be here with you. So I'll let everyone finish off this poll. Charles wants to know a little bit about you. So if you want to just quickly answer the 5 questions to get through the poll, go ahead and do that, and then I will share my screen. Why don't I go ahead and share my screen? I wonder if it'll
you.
let me do that. And maybe if you want to just stop for a second, I will share my screen and then we will dive in. I'm going to set myself up here. I'm going to do a little introduction as well, and then we're going to get right into it. First of all, if this is your first webinar with me, you're going to very quickly discover that I like to keep these webinars very, very interactive. So I hope you are ready to be chatting and talking. I have to tell you, just before the webinar started, I asked Charles to turn on the chat. You're noticing that everyone can chat with everyone. And I asked Charles to turn on the chat. I do that every time I lead a webinar all over the world. And usually the host has a bit of a panic attack and says, "Oh my God, are you sure you want people talking to everybody and to you?" And yes, I absolutely do. We absolutely need to have everyone chatting and talking. First of all, I'm going to ask you two questions. Number one, can you hear me okay? I want to see some thumbs up, some hands. Can you go to the hands? I'm looking at, I have a big screen, by the way. I look at that. Usama, Johnny, right? I can see Irene, Abdallah. You can hear me. Black Dragon. We've got a Black Dragon in the room. Fantastic. Dia, fantastic. Good. Yes is beautiful. You can hear me good. Awesome. I hope you're excited to get started. The second question, and then I'll do an intro, is I want to know, I heard a little bit of this before. You know, I find these webinars get very global, which is amazing to see people all over the world. And I would like to know exactly. I'm here in Toronto, Canada, where it's already starting to get cold with Devaney, my colleague, and I would like to know exactly where you are. You got Dubai, Shad's in Dubai, great. We've got Lebanon, Beirut. Oh, it's so fast. Wow, I can't even keep up with it. Devaney is with me in Toronto. We've got Lebanon. Where are we? We've got KSA. We got Saudi. Where else we go? Well, look at that, Charles. We've got in Tripoli. Great. We've got Minnesota. We've got Mohammed joining us from the U.S. Fantastic. And Mississauga. Look at that. Amazing. In Palestine, in Qatar, and Kenya. It's amazing. Nigeria. Look at how Angola. It's incredible, Charles. Ghana. We have people all over. We've got Spain. This is exciting. Great to see people from literally. We've got Ireland, Shruti. Amazing. I can't even see them all. It's going so fast. So let's Bahrain. Oh, where are you in? So I was in the Middle East. I've been to the Middle East a few times, and most recently I was in the Middle East earlier this year, and I was in Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Bahrain. And I look forward to coming back. I need to get to a lot of the places where you are. We've got someone in Egypt, and I'd love to get to Lebanon soon, and Egypt and Saudi and Qatar and everywhere you are. We've got France. Wow, incredible. All right, so let's get started very, very quickly. You can see my screen, Charles. We're good to go. So I will do a little bit of an intro, but I'm actually going to ask my colleague. So I am executive director and I head up Financial Modeling Institute, and I'm here with one of my colleagues, Devaney. Devaney is a manager in our exam operations. She manages a lot of the exam logistics. She's here with me in case there are any questions at the end about how the exams work or how the process works. But I'll let Devaney say hello quickly here, and then we'll turn into some real modeling Excel skills for an hour. So Devaney, over to you.
Thank you, Ian, and thank you everyone else for having me here today. I'm very excited to be joining you for this webinar. My name is Devaney. As Ian said, I work on the exam operations team. So if you have any questions about the FMI's exams, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Devaney. Thank you for joining us. Let's get started. So very quickly about me, you can check out my profile on LinkedIn if you want. You're welcome to follow me on LinkedIn. I've got a lot of I post content about modeling. I'm also starting, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, I'm also going to be starting, I'm working with a couple other modeling influencers around the world, and we are starting a video podcast series on AI and modeling. Oh, look at that. Anas, we're already connected on LinkedIn. Fantastic. I am going to be we are recording right now an AI in financial modeling webinar series where we are going to be reviewing and testing all of the financial modeling AI tools on the market to help you, and it'll be free, to help you understand what's out there. There's so much confusion right now in the world of AI and modeling. If you want to be aware of what's happening in the world of AI and modeling, just make sure you kind of follow, and you'll see what's happening when we release our follows. Fantastic. Good. My whole career has been spent in financial modeling. I was an investment banker to start my career. I did a lot of modeling. I started a training company called the Marquee Group, kind of like Morgan. It was based in the Americas, and I taught financial modeling all over the world for 20 years. I built up a team, and we taught 20 or 30,000 people financial modeling, and then I sold that business to a private equity firm in the United States in 2 years ago. I was very honored to create the Financial Modeling Practical Skills module that's now a mandatory part of the CFA program. I'm looking at you. When you see me looking this way, I'm looking at you. I see all your names here. It's great. Has anyone ever looked at the CFA program or done a level or for CFA? Is anyone just curious to know? I can see Sadim. Anyone else? Raise your hands if you've thought about or looked at. Not yet. Okay, just curious. I'm just curious. Oh, and we got a charter holder here. Look at Hussein's a charter holder. Good stuff. Curious. Good. Some people. Great. All I'm telling you is if you ever decide you want to think about the CFA Institute made a huge decision 2 years ago. They decided that the most important thing they had to add to the CFA program was financial modeling. And they asked FMI, they asked me to create it. So our learning materials, our FMI learning materials are now a mandatory part of the CFA program. I teach at a university near Toronto in financial modeling. So I've really spent my whole career on financial modeling. And very, very quickly for 2 seconds, and then I want to get into and then I want to get into modeling. I want to get into I'm going to show you some really great Excel skills today. I hope you guys like Excel and building, working in Excel. I'm going to show you some great Excel ideas, Excel tips. But just if you want to know about FMI for a second, we are, as Charles said, the only financial modeling accreditation organization, which means you can learn financial modeling with us if you like, but most importantly, you are working very hard to prepare yourself for an exam, for the AFM exam, which is the first level. It's a rigorous, challenging, proctored exam. It's not multiple choice, where you actually have to build up a beautiful, full model of a company from scratch in under 4 hours. And anyone who can do that, who can achieve the AFM, is truly an outstanding financial modeler. And people post all over their LinkedIn on how proud they are when they become an AFM charter holder, because it really means they are an exceptional financial modeler. So on that note, then we can talk more about that after. Let's dive right in. The other thing that I am going to share with you is this. I'm going to be taking a bunch of notes. Devaney, I assume you can see my notes file here on the screen. All good. I'm going to be sharing a bunch of notes with you, and I'm going to be asking you a whole bunch of questions along the way, and I'll share this after. So all the notes that I take today, you're welcome to have these as well. I'm also going to be showing you a model. This is a sample model that I'm going to be showing you. It's called the Henderson Manufacturing Model, and we're going to be reviewing this model today. And this is exactly the type of model that people have to learn to build up during the AFM program. This is exactly the kind of model people build in real life every day. Another question for you. How many of you work in Excel, spend a fair bit of time working in spreadsheets? Raise your hand if you spend a lot of time, every week work. Whoa, look at all those hands go up, Devaney. Wow. Yeah, people spend a lot of time in Excel. Great. Amazing. Every single day, right, Ahmed? Every day. Good stuff. Good. You like Excel? Well, I hope you're excited to see some new Excel skills. I'm going to show you some great shortcuts today and some Excel skills that you probably haven't seen before. And I hope you enjoy them, right? Should be an exciting opportunity here. So good. That was a lot of hands went up. Love to see it. Okay. So let's talk. And when I send you out this, you got access to my LinkedIn. My email address for those who need it to get onto LinkedIn, it's just my first name dot last name. It's ian.schnoor@fminstitute.com. That's my email address if you need it that way. So let's dive in. I want to share some best practices with you today. We're going to talk about some critical modeling ideas, and what we're going to talk about today are a few things. I'm going to ask you about your modeling experience, but what I want to talk with you about today, we have an hour and then we'll get to some questions, is we're going to talk about flow. We're going to talk about a critical idea called model flow. We're going to talk about managing assumptions in a model. We're going to talk about scenario management, managing risk in models. We're going to talk about two of my favorite ideas in models, the idea of repeat and link, and build it and link it. I think they're probably Charles's favorite ideas as well, because I think Charles is hiding the fact that he's really an expert financial modeler, but we'll find out during the webinar today, right? I know, I bet you're pretty good. I can tell you're pretty good, Charles. So let's start with this. Let's start with this. Gonna hide that the annoying Copilot. I don't know if anyone, I don't know if anyone is, I don't know if anyone has Copilot in Excel yet. You might not if you have it. This is my Copilot in Excel. You have to have an extra subscription for it. So I'm using it as a test because we're building this new AI modeling webinar series and podcast series. And as soon as you enable Copilot, you get a little annoying flag beside your cursor. So I turned it off. Let's start with this. Let's start with this. I want to start with what is a financial model? Because I know you've all worked in spreadsheets and I know you've all built some models, but let's talk about what a model is. And then I want you to see why it is so relevant to anybody here. So first of all, what is a financial model? It's very simple. If anyone ever says to you, what is a financial model? It's simple. The answer is simple. It is simply, what happened to here? It is simply, I don't know why it is simply a forecast. A financial model is simply a forecast, right? It is simply a forecast let me just go back up here. So what is a financial model? A financial model is very, very simply a forecast. That's all we're trying to do is build a forecast into the future. Usually we're forecasting a company and a company's financial statements in a spreadsheet. That's the most common tool that we use. That's why we have to use Excel. And Excel is the most common spreadsheet used in a corporate environment. We're just building a forecast. By the way, how far, so I'm sure many of you have done forecasting before. How far into the future do you guys normally forecast? What have you seen? How far into the future? If you have ever had to build a forecast for something, how far into the future? Yeah, I see Aya says 5 to 10 years, 5 years max, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 8 to 10. So look at Peter said currently doing 30. That's interesting. Peter said he's currently building 30 years, 1 year. So here's the what I want to share with you. How far in the future? We refer to the timing in a model as the model's periodicity, and that can vary. Look at all these answers, 3 to 5, 1, 2 years. That depends on the project. What I will tell you, 5 to 10 is the most common. 5 to 10 is the most common, but some people go shorter. Some people forecast longer. Peter is working on a model for 30. Dominic's building a model for 30 years. That's, people often do longer models if they're building infrastructure models, if you're modeling an airport or a highway, or if you're modeling often oil and gas companies, oil and gas, natural resource, mining companies, resource businesses, they will do, energy infrastructure, right? So Peter says he's doing energy infrastructure. Very common in energy to forecast long-term models. But what I will tell you is that depends on the person, on the company, on the project. We call that the model's periodicity. But very simply, we are building a forecast. The bigger question I have is why? There's a question, on will we be sharing the recording? That is from Morgan. Morgan will be sharing the recording afterwards, right? So the bigger question is why? Why are we forecasting? Why do we forecast? Because, even Charles mentioned this. Forecasting is one of the most common things people do in business. We're building a forecast. Why are we doing it? I will tell you it's because financial models have become the most important decision-making tools in finance. Period. Full stop. Financial models have become the most important decision-making tools that people use in finance. So I'd like you to go to the chat. I'm going to call on you right now. I want to see what you have to say. Guys, what kinds of decisions are people making with financial forecasts? Why? What type of decisions? There's lots. There are lots and lots of decisions. So what types of decisions are people making with their forecast? I'll see what you have to say. Good. Look at that. All of you, don't be shy. Go right into the chat. People are making decisions around, good. I see investment decisions, profitability, right? Operation decisions. People make decisions, right? Hussein, about expansion, right? Oh, Gael, cash, right? Needed. Aya says if the company is a good target. That's a very good comment. If the company is a good target. By the way, you've got me thinking, Aya. If anyone's interested, I am going to be leading another webinar in 3.5 hours today on merger modeling, how to build a merger model. We're hosting it through FMI. And if you're curious to know anything about merger modeling, it's different. There is a link. If you go to the FMI LinkedIn page, if you're curious, because you're right, Aya, we often build models. It's open. We've got people all over the world. If you're curious, you're welcome to join us. But you're right, M&A is a common reason people build models, budgeting, expansion, a lot of good ideas. So let me show you some ideas. So why do people build financial models? To make decisions around credit. People make decisions around, I didn't hear anybody here talk about credit yet. I didn't hear anyone talk about credit, but people make decisions around credit. Can we extend more loans to a company? Yes or no, right? How about investment decisions? Should we buy or sell? Okay. Should we, people who work in research, if you are doing research, you have to make decisions about a company and you need a model. If you're doing valuation work, security analysis, you need to have a model. M&A, mergers and acquisitions. Look, Dia is a credit manager. Absolutely, Dia, right? So, people always think of models for valuation and for investment. It's true, but you know what, Dia? People need models just as much to do credit assessment, right? In credit, we're not thinking as much about valuation, but we need to know about credit applicability. So very important. Leverage buyouts, operational sensitivity, risk management, right? So models are so important. Can I ask you to go? I want to see you all right now. Raise your thumb or your hand. Raise your thumb or your hand if you have ever done any work along these 8. If you have ever done anything in your career or in school that had to think about one of these things, raise your thumb. If you've ever had to see anything, I want to see all these thumbs go up. Sure. Many of you have. It's very, very common. That's why modeling is so critical, because if you ever want to do anything like this, you need to know how to build a forecast. Here's a problem though. Do you want to know what the problem is? Do you know what the problem is? The problem is, so by the way, I told you that what modeling is, we're just building a forecast. It sounds really simple, right? It sounds really simple. We're just building a forecast of the income statement, the cash flow, and the balance sheet. We're just building a forecast. Here's a problem. The problem is that most Excel spreadsheets, most financial models are a mess. They're terrible. They're a disaster. They don't work very well. They are often filled with errors. They are hard to understand. Can anyone relate? Has anyone here, I'm looking at you, has anybody ever opened up an Excel spreadsheet? You did not build it. Did you ever open up a spreadsheet and you started clicking and clicking and you thought, oh my God, I will never understand this Excel spreadsheet. It's a horrible mess. Raise your hand if you have ever seen a spreadsheet and you started sweating and you had a panic attack. Oh, look at all the comments. Yes, 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 yes. And you thought, oh my gosh, I better quit my job. This is horrible. Right? Have you had that happen? Sure you have. Of course you have. Jessica, Anusha, you said it's normal. That's what happens, unfortunately. And it's unfortunate. That's not the way a model is supposed to work. A model is supposed to be a very powerful, clear decision-making tool. So how do you know, by the way, let me tell you, how do you know if a spreadsheet model is working well? 2 ways. 2 tests, and I'd like you to test your own models in these 2 ways. Number 1, a good spreadsheet model has to work well electronically in a spreadsheet. What that means is every formula has to make sense. Every formula has to make sense. So that means if you open up a spreadsheet and you start clicking and clicking and clicking, you should feel like, oh, this makes sense. Yeah, I understand every single formula. It should feel logical, and you should understand it in your spreadsheet, number 1. Number 2, a good model has to work on paper. Yes, a good model has to work on paper or as a PDF. You have to be able to turn it into a PDF. It has to feel like a presentation. Why? Because you're going to present it. You're going to show it to your boss or a client or a board of directors or someone. A good model must be a powerful communication tool. It must tell a story. And at FMI, anybody who goes through, by the way, anybody who goes through the AFM program learns about not just the technical side of building models, but it is so important to know how to build a spreadsheet model that is beautiful, that can tell a story. And I'm going to talk to you about that. That's what a good model. Can I tell you a secret? Here's a secret as well. Nobody ever talks like this. You never heard this. You never heard this in university. I promise you, nobody ever does. But I can tell you, financial modeling is an excellent leadership development tool. Anybody who becomes a strong financial modeler, really, you set yourself up for success to become a strong leader in an organization, because you have to coordinate with so many other groups. You have to communicate. You have to organize the data, present it, analyze it. Anyone who can do all of that really differentiates themselves as becoming someone who's ready to become a leader. So I strongly encourage you to think hard. This is a skill you probably want to pick up, financial modeling, because you will elevate your leadership very, very quickly. So let's get in and now talk about the 5 best practices I want to share with you here today, including a lot of Excel tips. When I get to number 3, I'm going to be sharing some really nice Excel skills with you that I know you're going to enjoy. So let's talk about model planning and flow. So first of all, what I will tell you is this. If you are building a financial model, people sometimes think that when you're modeling in Excel, your whole life is in Excel. That's not true. That's not true. I want you to know that a good financial modeler should maybe be spending approximately 50% of their time in Excel. That's it. The rest of your time, you're meeting people, you're talking to people, you're doing research, you're thinking about assumptions, you're communicating, you're thinking about the messages, you're delivering messages. You are the main contact person. And yes, Aya, you're building PowerPoint presentations. Although I got to tell you, Aya, often when I have built models for clients, I don't build a PowerPoint because the model is the tool. The model, when you do a good job with the model, sometimes the model is the presentation itself. But yes, Aya, you will still need PowerPoints on industry. We always do need slides. But let me show you the model then right now. So this is the model. This is the model. This is the Henderson model. And I want to start to show you, first of all, I hope you think in Excel it feels logical, right? There's a cover sheet. There's an executive summary sheet here in the model where I've got some answers. There is an assumption page with all the inputs and assumptions in the model. There's a scenario page. I'm going to show you today, towards the end, I'm going to show you how to build this beautiful scenario page where you can run a base case, you can run a best case, you can run a worst case. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you all of this, how to build it. You're going to like it. And then we have the actual model. We have the actual forecast of their revenue, and we have a forecast of their operating costs. Look how nice it feels. And then I have their income statement underneath, and then the cash flow statement. And then underneath it is the balance sheet. It feels logical. Okay, it's presented, right? It's clean. I want to show you something else as well. I don't have it open. Give me a second here. I want to show you one other thing, and that's this. Watch. I told you that a good financial model has to work on paper also, right? It has to be a powerful paper tool or a PDF because you are going to present it. So here is the same model. Here is the Henderson model again, but now I am showing it to you as a PDF tool. You see, it's a 15-page PDF, and let's look to see what it looks like. Let's pretend I was going to print it on paper. There's a cover page. I'll talk about that. Here is the executive summary, right? If you printed it out, it's nice and easy to read. It's an executive summary. We'll talk about it. Next, I have all of the assumptions, the inputs and assumptions. Watch quickly as I go down. I've got assumptions. I've got scenarios. Do you notice that on every page there's a header? Every page has a header and a subheader. Every page I have the same font. Every page the font is the same size. Every page I have space on the left and the right and the bottom. I have page numbers. It feels, see, Aya, it actually feels like a bit of a presentation. There's titles. I can go right into a meeting and present this, and it gets people have a lot of confidence in you when you can build a model that has when a model looks and feels like this, people have a lot of confidence in your skills and the fact that it's working well. And what I will tell you, is that if you're going to do that, it's important to plan the model. The model requires a strong plan. You have to know how to plan it. So let's talk about the optimal flow. The model has to communicate clearly. So you already noticed in my model, we had a cover page. Every model you ever build should have a cover page because it has to feel like a presentation. You have to set the stage because it makes it feel like a presentation. And people have a lot of confidence when they see that. Very simple. It should literally take 5 minutes, right? It should only take you 5 minutes to make it, but you have to do it. The second thing that you want to put in a good model is an executive summary. And I will tell you, many, many models do not, but it is so important to have an executive summary. And it has to be customized. If you are working in credit, you'll have credit ratios. If you're working in private equity, you will have equity IRRs and other equity returns. You could have charts. You could have graphs. Whatever you need, you have to have it. Because the first thing your client wants to know is what's the answer, right? The first thing the client always wants to know is what is the answer. So you need to show it on an executive summary. And do you notice the next thing that I put in the model after I had the cover, I had the executive summary because that's the first thing your boss wants to know. What is the answer? The next thing I always would encourage you to include in your model is a page with all the assumptions. And the question is why? The next thing we put in is the assumptions, because the next thing your boss or your client wants to know is how did you get there? What assumptions did you make? How did you arrive? How did you arrive at your answers? What decisions did you make, right? So Peter mentioned he's working in energy infrastructure. I'm going to want to know, what did you assume about your commodity prices? What did you assume for oil prices over the next 30 years? What did you assume for natural gas input prices? What did you assume for exchange rates, for inflation rates? I need to know, what did you assume, to see if I agree with that. We always need to have scenarios in a model. Scenarios allow us to manage uncertainty, upside cases, downside cases. And then finally, we're going to include the engine, which is all the calculations. So all good models should follow some optimal flow because we want to present it in a very clear, organized way. Okay, makes sense? So you want to think about that immediately. So I would encourage you to go back when the webinar is over, go back and look at some of the Excel files you work with. Are they easy to follow electronically? Can you print them on paper? Has anybody ever tried to print an Excel spreadsheet and it printed, the printer went on for an hour and the printer was printing 100 pages and some pages were portrait and some were landscape and some had big numbers and it was a huge mess? Very often when people try to print their Excel spreadsheets, it doesn't look like this. Very often when people try to print an Excel, by the way, what I'm showing you now, this comes right out of Excel. This is not in a PowerPoint slide. I printed this right from Excel. And people don't know how to get the margins working. They don't know the headers and the footers. It has to feel clean, right? We're seeing here, right? Deepali is saying, these are a million things that people learn, in the AFM program because we want people to know modeling is much more than just building an income statement. It's about communication, presentation, flow, navigation, setting up formatting, setting up the page ranges, and these are all key parts of a good modeler's experience and the toolkit. Exactly, right, Hannah? It is so important for the model to be formatted well. I totally agree. Now, another tip, I'm going to show you who's ready to see a really great Excel. I'm going to show you a powerful Excel tip here right now. I now want to talk about the second one, which is managing your assumptions. Managing your assumptions. Now, you already heard me say that it is really, really helpful to keep the assumptions up front. It's very, very important to have the assumptions up. By the way, I'm going to ask you a question. Can you guys raise your hands? Has anybody ever worked in an Excel spreadsheet? Did you ever open an Excel spreadsheet and you discovered that there was a sheet off to the side, and then you discovered that way down in row 800, there were some more data inputs, more assumptions. And then you went to the next sheet and you discovered in row 600, there were more inputs. And the inputs and the assumptions were scattered everywhere. Have you seen that before? Richard says yes, yes, Deepali, yes. Who else has seen that, where the data inputs and the assumptions are scattered lots of yeses? That's terrible, isn't it, right? Isn't that frustrating? Yes, it's happened. It's very frustrating when people have their assumptions and the input scattered everywhere because it makes it very difficult. It makes it very difficult to read the model. It makes it very difficult to play with the model. So you want to keep all the assumptions up front. And I'm going to show you a really powerful way to do that. Now, by the way, I want to show you a very, very helpful, a very common modeling discipline. This is very easily. Modeling, let me spell properly, is color coding, right? There is some very, very common colors that we use, and you probably see this. Yeah, Ahmed said sack the analyst. I agree, Ahmed. Ahmed, sack the analyst. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. I agree. You should do it instead. But yeah, I mean, or how about this? Why don't you first maybe train them, make sure that they're strong, and then if they still won't do it, then sack them. I agree with you. Then get rid of them. Find someone else. But seriously, let's talk about there's two very common colors. Does anyone know what they are? Does anybody know what the what the common Does anybody know what the common? Yeah, right. Sadim said the most common is black. Black is calculations. The most common color, yes, is black, and blue is for inputs, right? So I'm going to make it blue. So blue cells are input cells and black are formulas. Does anybody know why? Does anybody know why? So Shruti and Serge and Afshaf, right? I see Anusha says black and blue, but does anybody know why? Do you know why black and blue? So I'm seeing some other colors as well. Do you know why? And I'll show you our model. Look at my model. You see some numbers are blue, and some things are black. Same thing on the income statement. Let's go to the income statement. On the income statement, some numbers are blue, and then many numbers are black. Does anyone know why we use black and blue? Yeah, so there's two reasons. There's two reasons why we use black and blue. The two reasons why we use black and blue, it's easy to spot. It's easy to see. It's easy to see in Excel. It is a convention, right, Serge? It's easy, but it's easy to see. And when you print on a black and white printer, they both print very dark. They both look black on paper. So they're easy to read on paper, easy to read on the screen. But let me tell you, why people sometimes have their assumptions deep in the model. Here's what some people do. And I'm going to show you a really great Excel skill now. Watch this. You're going to like this one. Okay. So let's pretend here. Does everyone see my screen? So I have the assumptions. Do you see this? Do you guys agree? All my assumptions are here. All the assumptions are here in the model. And the assumption page is all my assumptions. And then on the model, I have the income statement, right? I have the income statement. I have EBITDA. Here's my EBITDA. Here's my net income. Okay. Let's pretend I'm playing with the model. Okay. And can everyone see that the raw materials, we're forecasting the raw material to be $226 per unit in 2025. Okay. But what if your boss calls you up and says, do you know what? It's not going to be 226. Can you change it? Can you see what would happen if the raw material was actually 250? Look what I'm going to do. I'll type in 250, enter. Okay, good. Good. But what happened? What happened to the EBITDA? What happened to the net income? I don't know. Look what I have to do now. I have to go back and back. And now I have to look again. Oh, now I can see what happened to the EBITDA and what happened to net income. But I forgot what it used to be. So now I'm going to go back again and I'm going to make it 226. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to look. And then I'm going to go back and now I'm going to make it 240. Sometimes people get frustrated when the assumptions are up front because they feel like when the assumptions are up front, if they change an assumption, they have to jump. They're always jumping back and forth. And it's true. So I want to show you a very powerful way to keep your assumptions up front because you want them up front, but also to see the answers. Exactly. That's Serge, what I want to show everybody right now. There's a really great tool, and that tool that some of you have used and many of you have not is called Excel's Watch Window. It's under the Formulas menu, and it is right here called the Watch Window. Let me show this to you. The other way you can access it is pressing Alt. If you've ever met me before, you know I'm a big fan of using your keyboard. So using the keyboard, I'm going to press the Alt key, and then Formulas is the letter M, and then Watch Window is the letter W. So let's do it. I'm going to go to the model and I'm going to go Alt. I'm going to press M. I'm going to press M here for formulas, and I'm going to activate the watch window, which is W, like that. And I get this box, and it asks me what I want to watch. I'm going to click add. I'm going to say, let's add a watch. And I am going to say here, it wants to know, what do you want to watch? I'm going to say, let's go to the model and let's watch 3 years of EBITDA. Okay, I'm going to say, let's watch the first 3 years of EBITDA and click add. And look at that. They are now in my watch window. Let me add another one. I'm going to add another watch and go to the model. And I'm going to say, let's watch the first 3 years of net income and click add. And they are here as well. Well, now watch the beauty. Now, if I have to make my raw materials 250 and I press enter, please watch inside this box. When I press enter, boom, everything changes. You can see what's happening to all your values. You can look at some credit ratios. You can go get some valuations, some IRRs, and everything lives in this nice watch window. And as you make a change, you can see exactly what is happening to your answers deep inside the model, right? It's a powerful tool. Who's going to try this? Right? Who's going to try to use the watch window, right? Raise your hands if you think you'd like to try this in one of your Excel spreadsheets. I hope everyone tries the watch window because it's a really great way. It's an excellent way to play with something, make a change, and see what's happening in the model. Serge has another suggestion where you can split the window. Absolutely, Serge. A great idea. The only problem with splitting is that you're going to see two separate areas. So you can see your assumptions and you can see, let's say, the income statement. In the watch window, in the watch window, I can watch my income statement, I can watch my balance sheet, I can watch some valuations, and I can pull everything into the watch window. So it's great tools, use different tools, but this is a powerful one I want you to see, and I hope everyone tries it because it is a really nice way to keep your assumptions up front and see what's happening to your answers. Okay, so that is how you can I share the formula for the watch window? So the formula again, absolutely. Peter said, can I show it again? Absolutely. What you're going to do, let me use it with the mouse this time, right? Peter, you do this. You want to watch what's happening deep in the model. You go to the formula menu and then click the watch window, right? Formula watch window. What I did is I used my keyboard. So I pressed Alt and then I clicked M. I didn't want to use my mouse, so I clicked the letter M because that's the same thing as clicking formula. And then I did not click watch window. I just pressed the letter W. So Alt MW does the same thing and it opens it up. And then Peter, you click add watch and it allows you to click on anything anywhere in the model. So you could go to a sheet way off to the side and click on some NPVs. Then you can click on a different sheet and click on some IRRs and some, EBITDAs. And all of it lives in this one box. So when you make a change to any number up front, you'll see what happens to everything, right? Yeah, it's a good one, right? I agree. It is a very nice one. Now, by the way, do you want to see one other little tip here then? Some of you will want to use this. It's not obvious, right? It's not obvious that this is EBITDA. It's not obvious. Would you agree that these are the EBITDAs and these ones are net income? I might forget, right? I might forget that these three are the net income and that these ones are the EBITDA. So look what you can do. If I go to back to my income statement, if I go back to my model, you all probably know this, right? That there's a name box up in the corner. Every cell has a name. Right now, this cell's name is K92. The name of the cell is its address. Its address right now is K92. Well, look what I can do. I can go there and I'll just type in the word EBITDA into the name. And when I press enter, when I re-enter a new name, look what happens. Boom, it enters it here. So now I know this is an EBITDA. And if I want to name this, just the first one is fine. I'll go to here and I'll type in net income. And I will type in net income, enter, boom. So now I know that the first three are EBITDAs, the next three are net income, the next three are NPVs, IRRs, credit ratios. Simple, right? Makes sense? You like that one? Exactly. Yeah. And Camille is saying you can also use the camera tool. I love the camera tool as well. Another great feature as well. You can take a picture of a part of your model. Great ideas. Love it. And so there's a lot of ways to do it. I just want you to have a few options up your sleeve. So fantastic. Good ideas. And I hope some of you try this because it's a very powerful feature. Good. Let's move on then to managing uncertainty. Okay. I want to talk about one of the most important things that we have to do in models. All models experience uncertainty. We're forecasting. We are forecasting the future. The future is always uncertainty. There's always certain things that are uncertain. And so let me tell you something about assumptions. When you're building a model, some of the assumptions are easy to forecast, that they won't change much. There are certain assumptions that you have good insight because they're not going to change much in the forecast. So for instance, if you know that the income tax rate is 30% in your country and it's always 30%, well, I think it's safe to assume it will stay 30%. You don't have to have an upside case or a downside case. If you borrow debt, if a company borrows debt and the interest rate is 8% and it's a fixed rate interest rate and it's 8% for the next 5 years, well, that's an easy assumption. It's not going to change. It's always going to be 8%. Some assumptions in models are easy to forecast. Some assumptions are difficult to forecast. They're hard to forecast because they can change a lot, like a lot of economic variables, like exchange rates, commodity prices. If you're forecasting oil and gas prices or natural gas or gold or copper or inflation, these variables, inflation, revenue growth, these are hard to forecast. So whenever we have a variable that's hard to forecast, you want to have multiple options in your model. And ideally, you'd have a base case, a best case, and a worst case. You can have a management case. You can have a super worst case. You can have more. But it's nice to have some upsides, some base, some downside, to look at a few options. It's very nice to do that. And I truly believe that every single model you ever build in your life should have a scenario page to capture these variables where you don't know what the future looks like. We call these the key drivers. Modelers call these the key drivers of the business. These are the variables that are hard to forecast and they are hard for the management to control. And what I want to show you now is how to build this page. I'm going to show you how to build a scenario page because every model should have a scenario page. And you'll see here in our model, I have one for cost inflation. I don't know what cost inflation will be in the future, so I have a base, a best, a worst. I have my sales prices. I don't know exactly what the sales price will be. This is a cyclical business, so you see it's 800. It's going to drop maybe, and then maybe go back up, and then maybe drop. It's a little bit more cyclical. And then sales volumes. Sales volumes, yeah. Again, yeah. This is a great question from Hussein. I totally agree. So Hussein has asked a question, and Hussein has asked a question and said, what is an optimal number and if you've done, again, we talked about this in the AFM program. I agree with you, Hussein. I would say I have built probably 100 models. I have probably looked at and audited 1,000 models, maybe more. I will say in most models, there should be I'm going to say a handful of key drivers. So what's the right answer? I don't know the right answer, but 2, 5, 7 at most, like a handful, but not 40. You should not have a financial model where you have 40 variables. When you have a financial model that has 40 variables with a base case, a best case, a worst case, that tells me that the modeler hasn't been thinking as well as they should. You do not, I've looked at hundreds of companies. There are not going to be 40 variables that have a massive, huge impact that are hard to predict. Most assumptions are either smaller or easier to forecast. But the most important ones are the ones that you want to isolate as the key drivers and play with those ones. So I agree with you, Hussein. I don't know in your model what it should be, but a manageable number is what I would say. Not 50, not 100, too many. And so what I want to show you is this, that there are 3 steps. If you want to know how to build a really nice scenario page like this, then there are 3 steps. And here's what the page looks like. This is what it looks like in my, when I present the model. When I present it on paper as well, it will look like this, right? It's a nice page. It says economic and pricing scenarios. There's a switch. And my boss or my client realizes that I've isolated the critical variables that could be a base, a best, or a worst case that are hard to forecast. So let me show you, you can see it. Let me show you the 3 steps to build it. Number 1, you build up the, and I'm going to show you, and we're going to do it together. Number 1, you populate the large rectangles. The large rectangles have the assumptions. So that is going to be step number 1. Step number 2, you're going to enter a switch. I'm going to do it in just a second. And then number 3, we're going to run a live case with a function. So let's go do it, okay? Let's go do it together. I'm going to move this little box. So step 1, if you're doing this, so step 1 is to build a large rectangle. Just literally go to a blank set of cells, build a large rectangle, and this large rectangle is your assumptions. These are the assumptions, which is why they're blue. That's why they are blue, because these are data inputs. Where did I get these from? How did I get these? This is what a modeler does. How did I get these assumptions? Well, here's what you do. Do some research. Do some research. Talk to your boss, your client. Do some research. Read some reports. Go see what Citibank has to say about inflation. What does JP Morgan have to say about inflation? Start learning about, look at historicals. Exactly, right? My point is this. The modeler's job is to think and to figure out, what do I think inflation might look like over the next 5 years? Talk to my boss, talk to the client, look at some research reports, see what we've been historically, and then you present what you think makes sense. And everyone has to agree on that, right? And so totally good comments. Yeah. So step number 1, build the large rectangle with your assumptions. Here's step 2. Step number 2 is to go to a blank cell here and enter in a switch. Do you see this? Go to a blank cell and type in, and it's just the number 1. I just typed the number 1 into a switch, into a cell, and that's going to be my switch. Okay, that's it. Now here's step 3. Step 3 is the live case. This is the one running in the model. Okay, this is the case that's actually running in the model. So you'll notice it's black. It's a black row. And I will tell you people often build the live case with an if statement. It's not bad, but not optimal. Okay. How many, yeah, exactly. So it's okay. People do. Serge, I'm sure you've seen many if statements in your career, it sounds like, right? How many of you have ever seen an Excel formula? How many of you have ever seen an Excel formula that was so long that it wrapped around and around and around? How many of you have ever seen an Excel formula, I'm looking at you, that wrapped around and around and around, and it gave you a headache, and then you needed to get a coffee, and you think, oh my gosh, I'll never understand this, right? It's not optimal. That often happens because of long if statements. Many times it's not ideal. It's a nested if. Exactly. Here's a quiz question. Who wants a quiz question? Who wants a piece of trivia question? How many times does Microsoft Excel allow you to put an if inside an if inside an if? Let's build one. I'm going to say if, and I will say if that cell, if the switch is equal to a 1, okay, if the switch is a 1, then let's take the base case. Otherwise, if the switch here is equal to a 2, then take the best. Otherwise, the worst, okay? So I'm building a nested if. This is if it's 1, take the base. Otherwise, if it's a 2, take the best. Otherwise, you see that's 3. How many times, and it works, okay? It does work, but they get very long. So Salam said 7, Mahmoud said 10, right? NSK 12, many nested. So actually, Muhammad wins the big prize. Muhammad, you win the big prize. Muhammad said 64. That's correct. It's crazy. 64. Muhammad, I got to ask you, Muhammad, usually when someone knows the answer to that question, it's because they hit the end. They had to build a formula with so many. They go, oh my gosh, I'm only allowed to do 64. 64 is way too many, but you're right, Muhammad, it is 60. Either that Either that or you Googled it very quickly, right? You did a nice internet search. But either way, you are correct. You win the prize. Now I have to figure out with Charles what the prize should be. But we'll get you something because you're
We'll
right.
figure
But
something
don't do
out.
this. What's that?
I mean, we'll figure something out.
All right, Charles, we'll figure something out. We'll figure something out. We'll figure out some Morgan or FMI merchandise or something like that to get Mahmoud because and Muhammad because he is absolutely right. Okay, so you can see here that this works, but it's not optimal. And what I would much rather you use, and I already heard a couple people talk about it, it's one of my favorite Excel functions, and it is the choose function. Because look at how long this one would get, very long, especially if I had 5 or 6. If I had 5 or 6 choices, this one would get very long. But one of my favorites is this one. It's called the choose function. Look what the choose function does. So simple, so elegant. The choose function says, where's your switch? So I'm going to say, this is my switch here in D6. And all it wants to know is, where are your choices? Let me watch how when I build it. I'm going to say equals choose. And I'm going to say, go look at the switch. And then I'm going to press F4 to put dollar signs to lock it, to make it an absolute reference, because I do not want the switch to move. And then you literally just say, where's the first option? Where's the second option? And then where is the third option? So clean, so simple. And you know why I love it? Because clients love it. They understand it. It's easy to use. Raise your hand. Who here is going to try using a choose function in one of your Excel spreadsheets? Raise your hand if you are going to try using a choose function in any spreadsheet you have. Now look at all these hands going up. Charles is going to try. Who else? I want to see some more. Who else is going to try using a choose function? Good. A lot of hands going up. You should, because you can use it great in any Excel function. Good. Richard says yes. Good. You will find it very, very helpful. So that is simple. I'm actually going to show you one more. It's a little bit more advanced. I'm going to show you a one more as well that's a little bit more advanced. So I like choose because it's so simple. It's so simple. Clients love it. Some people like more complex, and in that case, you can use an offset or index function. I'm going to show you the index function as well right now quickly, but the index function can get very complex, so I encourage you to be careful with an index function. So here's an if statement. There's an if. It can get very long. Here's a choose. Really simple, very elegant. You could also use an index function. By the way, how many of you have used an index function? How many of you? Yeah, Daisy has also said, when you use large functions, you can they can cause Excel to hang and to work slowly. Exactly. So again, that's also why it's nice to use very simple, elegant functions. Who has used array? So some of you have used index. Okay, index is nice. Index is nice, but index can get quite complex, and I want to make sure you are aware of that. Oops, I lost my chat here. Where did my chat go? There we go. The index function and the offset can get complex. And by the way, does anybody know this? So I can see Muhammad has used index. Who else has used index? Ali has used index. Afshaf, a lot of people have used index. Ali, right? But watch this. Can I show you something that you probably never noticed before? I'm going to make my screen really big. Watch this. If I try to use Excel's choose function, okay? If I try to use Excel's choose function, do you notice this? There's one option. There's one option for the choose. If I try to use a VLOOKUP, there is one option. You see the yellow label, one option. If I try to use an if statement, there is one option. What people don't realize is that when you try and use an index, there are two. Nobody knows this. Most people don't. Some of you might, but rarely do people know this. There are two versions of the index function, and they can get very, very complex. And if you're not sure the difference between them, then you probably want to make sure that you know them, because a client's going to ask you. And if you're not sure what the difference is, it can be embarrassing if you're not sure how a tool works, and they can get complex. So I encourage you to make sure you're familiar if you are going to use it. A choose is really simple and really nice. How does an index work? Here's a very simple index function. a simple index function, and I'm going to use what's called the array version, the array form. It just says, give me your range. Where's the array? So here's my range of cells. And then it wants to know inside this range, which row do you want to pull? I'm going to say pull this one, row 1, and then which column. And I only have one column. So this has to be a 1. And you don't even have to put it, but it's a 1. It's simple. This works as well. It's a very simple index function. But the problem with index is the index can get very, very complex. So you have to be careful with it. My point is this. These are the 3 steps to build a scenario. I really want to make sure you're comfortable building a scenario. And again, step 1, build the assumptions. Step 2, have a switch as a number 1. And then number 3, have a formula to run the live case. Choose or a VLOOKUP or an XLOOKUP index. But again, choose is very simple. Now, there's one more thing here, and that's this. I never want to leave this number exposed. I don't want anyone to see this number. What's the problem? Can you guys go to the chat? What's the problem with having this number available and exposed? I don't want anyone to see this number. Why not? What's the problem with this number on the screen? Can anyone go in the chat? What's the problem with seeing this number in the cell? What you'll notice, look, do you notice on my screen? You don't see that number 1. Yeah, I mean, Camille has said someone can enter a number that doesn't belong there. And it's confusing, right? Afshak says it's confusing. They could delete it. They could change it, right? So I don't want my boss or my client to touch this number. They're going to make a mistake. Right? Exactly. Exactly. I like what Mark said. Mark, 1 is for you. You need to know what number 1 is. The client should just see, what are we running? So I want to show you how to build this beautiful little drop-down box, little combo box here. And let's look at how to do that. And then I got 2 last things to do. So I want to show you how to build a little switch, a drop-down box. And that is here in the developer menu. Does everyone see? You need to go to the developer menu. The problem is you probably don't have it. You might not have the developer menu because it is often off. It's off. So we have to turn it on. So how do you turn on the developer? You have to go to the file options menu and customize your ribbon. Let me show you. You're going to go here. Just watch me for a second. You're going to go file, and then you're going to go options. And then you're going to go to customize the ribbon, and you have to turn it on. Developer on. Did you see that? You go to the file menu, down to options, file options, and then you go customize your ribbon, and you have to put a check mark here for developer, turn it on, and then it will always stay on. It will always be on. You have to have the developer menu. Now, once you have it, I'm going to build one. Once you have it, watch quickly. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to say insert, and I'm going to add in the combo box. Look where I am. I'm going to click developer, insert, and I'm going to click on the combo box right here. And then I'm going to draw one. You have a drawing tool, and I'm going to draw a giant. Look at that. I drew you a giant combo box. Look at that. Don't show that to your boss. But I showed a giant combo box. All I have to do now is right click and format it. I'm going to format this little control, and it wants to know 2 things. It says, where is the input range and where's the cell link? The input range and the cell link. The input range means where's the words? Where is the range of words that you want to see in the dropdown? Where are the words? And the cell link means where is the actual numeric switch? So where is the range of words, and then where is the actual switch? Watch please what happens when I click OK. It starts by putting a 0 in here. Don't worry about that. Now if you open it up, you can click, you can see my words, base case, best, worst. If I click base case, it runs the base case. If I click best, it runs the best case. I'll just delete this one now. I don't need to have 2 of them. And if you click on the worst case, it runs the worst case. It runs the worst case. And so it is very, very powerful. The only thing it is doing is when you click base, it puts the number 1 in the cell. When you click on the word best, it puts the number 2. And when you click on worst, it puts the number 3. It is very powerful. It's very elegant. And then all you do is you go back and you can resize it. You can make it bigger. You can make it smaller. And what I want to do is move it. You see I'm moving it and nicely cover it up. And you can use your keyboard and your arrows and move it exactly where you want it. Your client will love it because it's very elegant and user-friendly. Who's going to try this? Raise your hands if you're going to try putting a drop-down like this in any of your Excel files. I want to know if you're going to try that. You're good. Now you're committed. I see this. Roger, Jessica, Irene, good. Sadim, right? Good. Deepali, excellent. Try it, please. Good. Try it. You will like it. It's so easy. It's so easy. And once you do it, your client is going to be so impressed. They're going to think, whoa, Muhammad, what did you do here? And they're going to, you know what they're going to say, Muhammad? They're going to say, tell me your secret. And you know what you should say then? You're going to say, I can't tell you. That's my secret. Do not tell them your secret, right? That's why you need to have your competitive advantage. Learn the skills. I'm just kidding. If you want to share your secret, share it, but make sure you know how to do it. They will be impressed, okay? So very, very powerful. Now, someone's asking me if, Shruti has asked if you can use the developer menu in the web version of Excel. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so. The web version is getting better. The web version of Excel 365 is getting better. It's still not the same as the desktop version. So I don't think so. But what I would do then instead is use data validation. If you cannot access it, I would use data validation instead. Okay. All right. Last thing, we're just about done. I got 3 or 4 minutes left. 5 minutes left. Then I'm going to turn it back to. Charles to wrap things up and see if there's any last. We've had some really good questions as we've gone along. I like all your comments. Oh, by the way, Ahmed is asking. So I like your questions here. Ahmed has said, is the same feature available on Excel for Mac? Yes, this is here Excel for Mac on a Mac. And I'll just put it here on a Mac. You go to Excel. Try this. Let me know if you find it. Excel preferences. And if you go into the Excel preferences menu, I don't remember what it's called. You're going to see something about the toolbar where you can customize it, but 100% this works the same on a Mac. Okay, so try it. Let me know if you found it, that you'll find it. Okay, you will find it in a Mac. Okay, it for sure is there. Now, the last 2 things I want to show you. Good, you found it. Awesome, good. The last 2 things I want to show you, and then I'm going to wrap things up and turn it back. Is I told you there are 2 more things I want to show you. Repeat and link. Build it and link it. I just need a couple tips to show you this. Do you want to know how to build a very powerful, elegant model? There are 2 of my favorite, and anybody who, anyone who goes through the AFM program hears these sayings over. 2 of my favorite modeling sayings, right? It's a repeat and link, and then build it, and then link it. If you do this in your models, this is the tip number 4 from above, 5. If you do this in your models will work so well. What does repeat and link mean? Repeat and link means whenever you need to use an assumption in a calculation, first repeat the assumption and then use it in a calculation. So let me show you what I'm talking about. If you want to have simple formulas, here's what you should do. Repeat the assumption and then use it in a calculation. Watch. Let's go to my model schedule. My model crashed because of the error before. I have to fix a crash in my model here. There we go. So look at my revenue schedule. Do you see this? I have a gross selling price. My gross selling price, my sales price is the gross price minus freight and warehousing, and that gets me to my net price. Look at my net price. My net selling price is the gross minus the freight. Gross minus freight. Well, where does the gross come from? Well, the gross, I first repeated it from one of my assumptions, the scenario page. And then I repeated the inflation. Why did I repeat the inflation? Because my freight and warehousing has to grow at inflation. So look at this. I repeated my gross price. I repeated my cost inflation. Now I have a tiny, tiny formula right here and another tiny, tiny formula here. Rachad is saying the spreadsheet is very small. It shouldn't be. Charles, do you see it big? I mean, I'm filling up my whole screen, so I'm not sure why it is small. It should be.
Yeah, I can see your shared screen across my entire screen.
Yeah.
Guys, I encourage you to look up on your Zoom window and use the view button to change your view.
Yeah, it's a Zoom issue, not an Excel issue. Thank you for confirming. And if you watch the video, um, if you watch the video, then the video recording will be available as well. Hussein has a good question. I'll take your question, Hussein, in a second. Let me finish this off. So, do you see what I did? I repeated an assumption. And I built a tiny calculation and a tiny calculation. It is very simple, all the way down. Look, I'm repeating an assumption. And I built a tiny, tiny calculation. It is so tiny all the way down. Anybody could read and understand this model because we repeat everything and build little formulas to help people understand every single step along the way. And then I get down to my total revenue, and my total revenue is just the price times the volume, the same for every company. Very simple. And now I have total revenue at the bottom. That's the first idea. Repeat all your assumptions and then use them in calcs. The very last comment I want to make is build it and link it. This means never build long formulas on the financial statements. Rather, build schedules, right? So what this means is build a schedule, then link it into the financial statements. Build a schedule. The way you build a good model is you build a schedule and you link it. You build a schedule, link it. Watch, please. And then I'm done. So you saw that I have a revenue schedule and a cost schedule. Look at my income statement now. On the income statement, if I need to get the revenue, look at the revenue cell. Look how simple it is. It's just a link. It's just a link on the same sheet in the same column. Where is it coming from? K26. It's coming from the revenue schedule. It's so easy. You build a schedule and link it. Build it, link it. Look, if I go to the operating cost, where's the cost of goods sold coming from? It's just a link. You build a schedule, build the cost schedule above, build it. You get to your total cost and you link it. Every single line on the income statement is just a link. You build a schedule, you link it. You build a schedule and you link it. So this cell is coming from a depreciation schedule below. The interest expense is coming from an interest and debt schedule below. The income tax, a tax schedule below. And then, of course, your profit numbers are just little tiny subtraction, right? You just subtract and subtract all the way down. Very simple, very elegant, very powerful. And when you can do this, and this is the whole purpose of the AFM program, when you can do this, you can model anything. You can model any company, any project, any opportunity with a beautiful best-in-class model. So that gets me to the end of my formal remarks. I'd love to take some questions. And I can see that there are a couple questions already, but let me turn it. I can see that there are. Why don't you come on back, Charles? And we'll take. I have a few questions already, but I know you had a few comments you wanted to make and a poll you wanted to do. I think almost everyone's still here, which is amazing. Let's turn it back and let's take some of these questions here before we wrap up in 10 minutes.
If I may point your attention to a particular question, Ian, that was recently in the chat. Hussein was asking if the practical skills module of the CFA charter is enough to learn financial modeling. I know you developed that practical skills module, or at least contributed, if not completely developed. Yeah. So I'd love to hear your answer on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a great question. So this is my LinkedIn. You can see my LinkedIn page now here, Charles, right? That's what I'm showing. Yep. And let me show you. So let me show you that people who join and become candidates in FMI, if you want to become an AFM candidate, you get access to the community, and we have a very vibrant community. Inside the community, there are anyone who wants to learn modeling. If you are an AFM candidate, you get access to the learning materials, which is 60 videos that show you how to build a model like the Henderson model from scratch. So there's a reason I'm telling you this. So the AFM learning materials is 60 videos that you go through to show you every step along the way with Excel functions. And we look at how do you build depreciation, and how do you do income tax, and how do you do working capital. But the most important part of the AFM program is not the videos, it's practicing and practicing until you're ready to sit the exam. And then we have practice exams, and there's other practice exams. So you asked about the PSM, the practical skill module in the CFA Institute. I'll tell you, it is exactly the same videos. It is these exact same 60 videos. But the difference is there's no exam. And Hussein, I'll tell you something. There's only one person in the world who can make you a good financial modeler, and that's you. So, yeah, I mean, courses are good. The videos are great. In the videos are great in the CFA PSM. The same videos. It's the same videos. But here's the thing, like learning any skill, the most important thing to learn any skill in life is practicing and practicing until you're ready to get through an exam. And that's what's going to make you strong. So if you want to learn modeling, by all means, you're going to enjoy the videos, the same videos. But because there's no exam, most people watch the videos once and that's it. And then they don't really practice it. When people go through the videos, through the same videos here, they practice, they practice, they practice, they practice 10 times, 5 times, 20 times. And then what happens is they can truly build a model like this from scratch. So it depends what you want. If you just want to kind of watch the videos and learn modeling, absolutely, just do the PSM. That's all you need. But if you really want to become an excellent modeler, then you want to force yourself to practice and practice. It's like learning a skill. So I hope that explains the difference. Okay. Um, is there another? And I will share with you. And I told you I'm going to share with Charles this model, and I'm going to share my notes. So Charles, you'll get that from me for people who've attended.
Thank you, Ian. And I'll add to that, like I mentioned in the beginning, for whoever joined us later, you guys will be receiving the PDF of the presentation, the file that Ian is working on, as well as a link to access the recording of this entire session as well.
Amazing. Amazing. Was there a poll you want to do now, or you want to do more questions? You decide.
Are you good and done with your screen? Can I share from my side?
Absolutely. Let me stop my screen because Charles has a couple last things, and then we'll wrap up. But if there's more questions, feel free to put them. But he's got a question for you. So Charles, you go ahead, and we want to give you a few minutes to go here.
Thank you, Ian. So firstly, I just wanted to double check if anybody has any additional questions, I'm sorry, for us to answer. They can put them up in the chat, send them to our email. Yes, Mohammed, we will be emailing you all the documents I mentioned. And if you guys will indulge me again with a very quick and small poll, we're just hoping for an honest impression on what you've witnessed so far. So just another poll with exactly 2 questions for you. How do you feel about financial modeling now after Ian's presentation and exercise, and whether you want to know more about our upcoming preparation course for the Advanced Financial Modeler certification? So just 2 questions. We'd love to hear your answers about them. And if you will also bear with me, I'll just take an additional 4 or 5 minutes to quickly brief you on who we are as Morgan International and our partnership with the FMI Institute in just a couple of slides. So for the rest of the presentation, anybody who has any additional questions, please feel free to post them. We'll be happy to answer them for you. So Morgan International, as I mentioned, myself, and my colleague Remy, who's also regional commercial manager with Morgan International. Morgan International has been providing, preparation courses for international certifications such as the AFM by FMI and others for the past 30 years. We work with a pool of subject matter experts certified in the matters they deliver of over 350. We've graduated over 150,000 certification
Wow.
holders across the years.
That'll be fun.
We also deliver industry specific workshops, soft skills, continuing education, and in house trainings. Our portfolio spans from accounting and finance, inclusive of the AFM certification, as well into human resources and total rewards, supply chain logistics, and digital marketing, atop other soft skills. I'm sure a lot of you can recognize some of the logos here of the partnerships and corporates that we've serviced, that we continue to service in upskilling their employees and training them. And what do you get if you choose to move forward with the AFM certification with Morgan and FMI? Definitely a comprehensive learning material that Ian just briefly demonstrated in terms of the videos and the practice and the Excel sheets, all that you have available to prepare for your AFM exam and become a really skilled and capable financial modeler. All the tools you receive from exams and supplementary readings, etc., on the learning system of FMI. On top of that, you also get lectures, instructor-led lectures with Morgan International. And the exam is a very rigorous grading process. As Ian mentioned, you have to build a complete model from scratch. That's the whole exam. No questions and answers anywhere or anything that you need to memorize. You just need to really understand it, know how to build it, and have a vision of how to design it. So a lot of standards and best practices are available in the course. No formal education is necessary or required to apply for the AFM, but definitely some foundational knowledge in maybe accounting or financial principles, corporate finance, and definitely some proficiency in Microsoft Excel. Though, as Ian demonstrated, we try to keep it simple and very easy to use and reproduce. So whether you're a student, fresh graduate, inexperienced with finance, you could definitely learn a lot from financial modeling if you're an accounting professional or a finance professional in all the different aspects and fields of finance, or if you're a manager who can actually work with assumptions, forecasts, be it in supply chain, in retail, FMCG, etc. And our next course on the AFM specifically is going to be in November. It runs on Fridays and Tuesdays, 6 to 9 p.m. For about 11 lectures in total, 2 of which are practice and review sessions to help you prepare for your AFM exam. A few studying tips. Please make sure if you register for the course, attend your lectures in real time. They are very important for you to be able to interact with your instructor, despite the fact that all the courses are also recorded as they occur, and you will maintain access to your recorded lectures while you prepare for your exam. Definitely try to learn how to manage your time, because building it from scratch is time consuming. So when you manage your time in building your cover page, your assumptions page, and your executive summary, all the things Ian just explained, you will be able to do that seamlessly during your actual exam. So we are present in all the cities of the region, as well as many more with our partners. So if you want to learn more and we don't reach you in time, you're more anxious than we actually can reach back to you, please either visit our website and chat with our advisors, or hit us up with an email on info@morganinternational.com. Like I said, you will be receiving a copy of this PDF with all the associated links and the recording of this entire webinar. I want to thank everyone for joining us, and I'll take a minute to look at the chat if any other questions are still there. And Ian, if you have anything to add, it'd be more than appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, we're at time, so I don't know if you want to keep going, but it's been a real pleasure to be here. You've had some great questions. It's been great interacting with you. Some of you I know are newer to modeling. Some of you have done some modeling, but wherever you're at in your career, in your trajectory, in your journey, there's more to go. Modeling is a lifelong pursuit, and you got to start somewhere. And then there's always lots to kind of pick up and learn. So if you think you might want or need this, we'd love to work with you. And I hope it was was helpful. I do see one quick question I'll touch on AI. Yeah, AI is going to have a big impact, but on modeling. But I truly believe that you are still going to require human beings, people, to know how to build models and to understand it, because modeling is a journey. It's a process to understand a company. And you can maybe we'll be able to use one day AI to help us with our building, but you still have to understand every calculation, every section, every module, every component. And the only way to truly understand it is if you know how to build it yourself and you can challenge the AI and work with the AI. So I really believe it's so critical to have these skills, even if you'll be able to get some help one day from AI. Right now, there's not a lot of great things that are doing it yet, but it'll happen. But I still think it's going to be super important to have the skills.
Thank you so much, Ian. And
Okay, well,
I
great. Well,
just
why don't we let everyone get going with your day? If there's anything else, feel free to shoot a note. Grateful to have you all here, and hope to meet some of you in person one day on my next trip to the Middle East.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to it. I just put up a poll if anybody is interested in adding it, just for a couple of feedbacks
More
from
polls. Oh
attendees.
my,
No,
more
just
polls.
an evaluation poll to hear
Ah,
from people who are still with us, like if they
got
like
it.
what we did, if they care for more, and if they have any suggestions, we'd be more than
Perfect.
happy to hear them.
All
Thank you
right. Thank you.
so
Well,
much. So if everybody is done, if you have nothing to add, please feel free to be on your way. Thank you for being with us on this afternoon, and we hope we delivered what we promised on delivering, and hoping to meet you again
yeah,
very,
thank you
very,
very
very
much.
soon.
This was the first time we did a webinar with Morgan, so we're curious to hear your feedback. But I hope everyone left with some one or two new ideas or new skills that you can use right away and a much better understanding of financial modeling. So if you have a chance to toss it in your final poll, that'd be great. And I hope to be in touch with some of you. So thank you all, and thank you, Charles, for hosting.
Thank
I hope you
you.
learned a couple new things in today's webinar. You ready?
Definitely, at least the choose function is something I'm going to try to use.
Yeah, you today, and you and Remy. I hope you're both going to competing with each other on your Excel skills now, and
Oh, I
maybe.
don't know about that.
All right. Well, I do hope that you all. I hope that you and everyone else has a few new ideas that you can help you in your jobs and help you in your life, and that would be great. And maybe we'll see you again for another one.
Absolutely. Very grateful. Thank you, Ian.
All right. Thank you, everybody. It's so great to see you all, and have a great rest of your day, evening, wherever you are. People are all over the world for this webinar, and I look forward to being in touch. So whenever you're done, all good. I'm looking at comments here. Thank you all very much.
All right. Wrapping it up. Bye, Ian.
Thanks, everyone.